Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dirt Grain Steel. Just enjoying some breakfast of Pepperidge Farm goldfish. Love these things. So today what we're going to do is I got the day off. Today's Sunday. We're not working on the river. Mom told us that we need a day off. So Mom says it, we'll do it. So anyways, since today I have the day off and I'm continuing the trommel project, I'm going to bring in my old sluice box and the sluice box extension that I had formed up by my local steel supplier, JSI down in Winnemac. They stuck it in their press brake and they shaped me a sluice box. So it's the same, should be the same dimensions or a little bit different. I'm hoping actually my old one slides on the inside of the new one or vice versa. So then when I weld that seam up or join up, it'll make it a little stronger. I didn't really want to butt weld it. We'll see where it's at. I'm not quite sure. Depending on what their dies were when they formed it, it might be a little different. So I'm going to drag those two pieces in here. I'm going to carry them in with my 1025R John Deere tractor. Going to carry them in with that. And then we're going to put them together. So we're going to be doing all the welding today with the Esab Rebel. I'm going to be using it. I don't think we're going to use the Forney today. We'll see what happens. I think I want to use the Esab. So, and then we'll probably put legs on the water manifold. We'll see what happens. We'll see how far we get. So, anyways, it's going to be a good morning. We'll get some stuff done. Nice morning out. It's a little warm out, but it'll be alright. Listen to the Beatles on 94.3. It's Beatles Sunday mornings. I always listen to them. So let's get started. But before we get started with the sluice box project, I'm going to go ahead and knock out mowing the yard real quick. It only takes me about 5 minutes with the 1025R and the 60-inch mower deck. Don't take me very long at all. So before I put the forks back on the tractor and stuff, I'm just going to hurry up and mow this, and then I don't have to worry about it the rest of the day. So it's nice and breezy, might as well take advantage of it. So I'm going to get mowing. Now that I got my sluice boxes in the shop, or my sluice box and the extension, I'm going to turn them and bump them together and see what I need to do to weld them together. First of all, I need to flip the new one over, the extension, and put some 2-inch square tubing underneath of it so that it has something to sit on. When I get this all set up with the trommel, I'll have concrete bunker blocks that these will sit on. To sit a sluice box properly, you need to have an inch of drop per foot of sluice box. So this will be 16 foot long, approximately 16 foot. So that means I'll have to have 16 inches of drop from that end to that end. And that will ensure that I get plenty of water current through it to run the water over the ripples and the miner's moss and cause the gold to fall out and still keep a flow of sand and other debris out of the box. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to flip that one over and get some square tube welded under it for feet, and then we'll get it spun around and get them butted together and marry them up. And then what we'll have to do is we'll have to weld these angle iron in, these small pieces right here, because what I do with those is I cut blocks of wood on a 45 and I set the ripples down in here on top of the miner's moss or my expanded steel on top of miner's moss, and I have 1 by 3/4, I think I cut them, pieces of wood that I set down on top of that ripple or that expanded steel, and then I drive that block of wood cut on a 45 underneath of these, and that's what wedges everything down tight and holds it down in the sluice box. So I'll have to determine where I need these in that box and get those put in also. So I'm going to get started. I started welding the square tube on for the legs for the sluice box extension using a Rebel EMP 215. I'm using some 6011 welding rod because this is galvanized. This is a square tube that I got from a demolition job we done. It was at a lake house, and there's a bunch of these square tubing that they used for piers, and it's all galvanized to keep it from rusting in the water and whatnot. Well, I've been slowly using it up. I hated to throw it away just because it was galvanized, but for stuff like this it works wonderful. So the reason I'm using the 6011 is that 6011 burns right through that galvanized and gives you a good weld. It's a good digging rod. It likes dirty surfaces, rusty, galvanized, painted, whatever, it burns through it. So I'm running about 95 amps with the Rebel, and this is 1/8 inch 6011, and it melts it like butter. This welder has been an awesome welder. I'm really enjoying welding with it. I did put a 20 amp breaker in my shop. I had to weld with it and the Forney Easy Weld 140. If you have either one of these welders, you want a 20 amp breaker. And if you're going to run them on an extension cord, get the heaviest extension cord you can, because I've noticed it quite a bit with the Forney 140. The voltage drop with just a normal extension cord really messes with the Forney. The Rebel not so much, but just for safety's sake I run a heavy cord with it. So I'm going to keep welding, get a video of doing a little welding on here so you can see how it welds, and we'll get these two married together. So here we go. I'm going to do some welding with 6011 with galvanized. Well, I got the sluice box extension flipped over. I've got them butted up together. My floor is uneven in my shop, so I had to shim under them with some just flat washers. And now I have a pretty good transition right here. They actually do bump right up to each other, so I'm going to have to make some gussets to weld on the outsides. Or not some gussets, just some diamond plates or something just to give them some extra strength. So the goal is I want to keep this a nice smooth transition on the inside, and the outside is where we'll do our gusseting and whatnot to make it strong, so that it don't bow when it's being carried around or when it's got the weight of the water and sand in it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to butt weld them together, and then we'll turn it over and weld the back side. I'm going to solid seam it all the way across, up the sides, and do the outside and the bottom side. So I got a level in here. It tells me that it's all pretty much true from transition to box, so we're good. So now we just got to weld it up. So I decided to try out the MIG feature of the Rebel EMP215. So I'm going to set it up for MIG. I'm going to show you how to do that. It's pretty simple. I took the Forney off my welding cart since I only had one. I wanted to be able to safely hold the tank. So I decided just to switch it to the cart. So the Victor pressure regulator that they send with it is pretty sweet, because it kind of gives you an idea where to set your gas. Like the green area is where you should be for MIG. That gives you kind of an idea where to start out and adjust from there. The blue is for TIG, and the yellow I'm just assuming is the high side for the MIG. So pretty awesome regulator. Kind of takes a little bit of guesswork out of stuff, where to start. You know, like if you're going from TIG to MIG, you can kind of get an idea where to start and whatnot. So all you gotta do to set this up for MIG is, first of all, I weld with 035 wire in my shop. So to change that, we simply take this knob off, pull this roll out, which this is the 030. Yeah, this is the 030, and we went 035. So we put our 035 roll in there. Yeah. We put our 035 roll in there, just like so. And then we just put our knob back on. There's a keyway in there that holds that to the shaft. Then we put our knob back on. And we are ready to put a roll of 035 in here. So we need to get our MIG gun. Our MIG gun, simply take this end of it and you shove it in here. You gotta open this up, push it in there good and tight, tighten this knob back up, and then hook your control wire up for your MIG gun. And it just simply matches up a certain way in this plug, and then you just simply tighten it up and you're ready to go. So I'm going to get a roll of wire and get put in here, and we're going to get to welding. I got the Rebel all set up to weld wire now. I did do a couple test welds with it. Turned out pretty nice. I think they look pretty good. So I've actually got it in the S-MIG option, where it automatically adjusts itself. You tell it what thickness metal you're welding, and it automatically adjusts its own parameters for wire speed and voltage. So I'm going to try it in this option right now to weld this seam up. So far I like what I see. It gets plenty hot. Hell, it's more than enough heat to weld anything I want to weld here that I found. And just a little reminder, I am running it on 110. I'm not even running it on 220. So this thing is very impressive just on 110.
I like this welder. Does real good. So I'm going to get some video welding this up and show you what the welds look like. Excuse the sound of the rain on the roof. It is raining today, which is nice because I got rid of some of the humidity in the air, so it really cooled it off. So I'm going to start welding now. Actually, I'm going to get inside here. I'm going to weld down this side and part way across here, and then weld down that side and part way across. For now, I don't want to get this too hot because I don't want any warpage. So I'm going to weld a little bit, let it cool, weld a little bit more. So just to prevent warping. I think actually I'm gonna weld a little across here first and then do them sides. The slight thin spot I forgot about, that when I welded the angle iron to the bottom of this, when I first built this one, it was a thin spot right there, and that's why it burnt through. So that's no big deal. So now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to weld down this side and do the other side. Turned out real nice. Real nice weld. The only thing I noticed about this welder is the cone's a little bigger than what I'm used to. It seems a little fatter. And you got to be in the right position to see around that cone. But that's alright. Real nice welding machine. I like it. Plenty of heat. Turned out real nice. I'm going to weld a little here up to this next pack. Good. Nice. Okay, now I'm going to let this cool for a little bit and I'm going to finish welding it up. So I don't end up with a bunch of warping with this thinner metal. It does make some pretty decent welds. I might be a little shaky, but I mean, they look good. Real good welds. That's a pretty good one. Definitely got this sheet hot, burnt the paint off on the back side. discolored it, so definitely getting some good penetration on it. So let that cool a little bit, and I'm going to finish welding it, and then I need to figure out what I'm going to do as far as miner's moss, expanded steel, and some riffles in this one. And might have to wait and get some steel to make some more riffles out of. I don't know if I have enough angle iron here or not to make them, so we'll see what I got. So the sluice box extension is welded on. The only thing I got left to do is I'm going to diamond plate these sides to give it a little extra strength. I wanted to tip this up on its side so I could weld across the bottom, and I tried to do it by hand. I'm like, it's gonna hurt my back doing it. So I thought, well, I'll spin it crossways over there on the floor and bring my tractor in and tip it over. Well, I realized it's gonna take a lot of moving stuff out of the way to do it. So I looked over on the wall, I see my Warren drill winch hanging there. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use my Warren drill winch. Originally, I bought it for dragging trees out of ditches. If we had to just drag a tree or here and there out, you know, just throw it in a boat and take a drill and go run it. Well, we've done that a couple times, and I've used it mostly in my shop. But if you have a service truck, or you farm and you have irrigation stuff that you deal with, or just anything, get you one of these winches. Especially if you do fabricating work. I just hung it from the rafter, and it's not like this is super heavy. This only pulls 500 pounds anyways on a single line. I suppose you could run the line out and double it, but it pulls 500 pounds, and most of the time 500 pounds is a big helping hand when you need to do something. I mean, if you need to pull something a little straighter or something, 500 pounds will usually do it. So I wrapped the chain around, and I hooked it to there, and I picked it up a little bit, and I just kept sliding the ends over to get it straight, and then I was able to lay it over on some blocks of wood. So the drill winch came in handy. And you can use it with any cordless drill. It don't matter, Milwaukee, DeWalt, Ryobi. I use it with my Ryobi or my DeWalt or whatever I've got handy. So works out pretty good. Plus, it's small and lightweight, and it's easy to carry. It fits under a truck seat, fits anywhere, you know. You can put it on a four-wheeler, whatever you need to do. So anyways, I'm going to get these cut out and get those welded on the sides, and then we'll move on. I don't know if we'll get to move on to putting miner's moss in this episode or anything like that, because I still got a lot to do on this, and I got some other things I need to get done today before I go back to work tomorrow. So we'll see how far we can get today. To get this diamond plate cut out, we'll use it to mark another one out, and then we'll be able to get these welded on and get this part done. Got a little crooked as my cut. My tip's getting a little bad, but still easy enough to hit it with a grinder. Now this is 1/4 inch metal. This is on the thickest side of what the Forney 20 feels cut. But as you can still see, that's still a nicer cut than a torch cut. Just touch that with the grinder and she's ready to go. So I'm going to get the rest of this cut out. No sense putting it on camera. So I'm going to get the rest of this cut out and we'll get that one marked out and we'll get it welded on. Well, now that we have our diamond gusset cut out, we're going to get it on. I'm going to lay it right there. Grab my welding helmet. We're going to weld all the way around that now, and that'll strengthen this joint up. So we're going to get it. I still got a line here from when I cut it out. Gonna get it where I want it. The bottom and top are cut just a little crooked, but that's okay. I burn them off a little bit just so I had some places to put some weld. Go ahead and tack it. So it can't go anywhere. Now we can weld her up. The Esab is performing awesome with 035 wire. I'm very pleased with the way that it's welding with 035, especially in 110. That's kind of a, that's what I've noticed between, I guess, what I've noticed between the Esab 215 and the Forney 140 is the Esab is a very clean weld. There is not spatter like you have with the Forney. So, but we're also not comparing apples to apples here truly, because the Esab is an $1,800 welder and the Forney is a under $500 welder. So the Esab is more of a professional grade welder. The Forney is more of a homeowner, rancher, weekend adventure person welder. Not that it's a bad welder at all. It's just that it's not a true professional grade welder. Forney does make true professional grade welders, but they aren't at that $500 price range. When you get into those, you're up around the Esab price range at the $800 or $1,800 to $2,000 range. So, and I know I mentioned earlier I changed my breaker in my shop. I said 20 amp, I changed it to a 30 amp. So note that I did put a 30 amp in, and with a 30 amp, I've been able to weld trouble-free with both welders and cut with a plasma cutter. Before with a 20, it'd still kick it out, but 30 is just enough to make it great. So I'm gonna finish welding this up. Let's make another pass on camera, why not? I will say I love this gun. It feels so comfortable in my hand. This thing is awesome. It's the Tweco 180 Fusion, and this thing is just, I love it. It's comfortable. My hand don't hurt from squeezing the trigger too long. It's great. I really like this welder. I love everything about this welder. this thing is awesome. I can't wait to get the TIG leads out, do some TIG welding with it. Stick, I've welded 1/8 inch 7018, 1/8 inch 6011. I think I even welded some, what else did I weld? Maybe just, oh, I welded some 6013 with it too, 1/8 inch. And all of those in 1/8 inch, it melts them beautifully. So, great welding. I love it. So, I'm going to finish getting this welded up and get this moved around the shop because I do need to change Jess's oil in her car. So, I'll probably end up ending this episode right here. As soon as I get this done welding, we'll get a closer view of that weld. And then I'll probably end the episode, and it'll be to be continued to finish out the sluice box. So thanks for watching so far. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch. So here's the results of the welds that this welder's given me. Very nice welds. Very happy with these. I'm loving them. So, and that's 035 wire on 110. I don't even have this machine on 220. This machine is a 110 or 220 machine. So I think on 220 it's going to be really tough to compete with. So very, very happy, very satisfied with it. So if you don't have one of these, go get you one. Unless you're just gonna do, you know, small things, some exhaust work, some yard art, stuff like that, then get you a Forney. But if you plan on doing heavier industrial work, farm work, if you do a lot of fabricating on your farm, I see this machine capable of welding up to probably 3/4 inch plate with no problem on 220. So you want to fix a toolbar, you want to fix a disc frame, something like that, this welder's going to do it for you. So anyways, I think that's going to be the end of this episode of Dirt Grain Steel. If you like this episode, give me a like and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I will see you on the next one. So I got to do the hard part and figure out how to title this video. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.